Part 3 of Sexy 6. We are here in Tablet Talks. I am your author. I'm your host, Tehuti Trismegistus, aka Symmetry Come and Fix This, aka Chase Clarence Calloway, the architect, the chickatet of my reality. That's for sure. And then, of course, I make that our reality because we create life together. Any light white supremacist trying to convince you that you are not the creator of your own life desires to steal your spirit from you, desires to take your space. None of that. None of that. So here we are in Tablet Talks, decolonizing, decoding, and deciphering how all of these white light supremacists have manipulated the wisdom that I have put out so that they can trap your soul and make you sell your soul and thus steal your space. So they're using all this logic, all this English, all these words, all these lights, these ideas to make you believe that you're actually getting what you want. So when you come to Tehuti and they tell you that it's actually Thoth and here are his tablets and you believe all the story, that's just how they got you. And it's rough because all of life is a lie. This is sort of how deep it goes. I mean, they want to colonize everything we can see because it's easy to get lost in what we can see. So many people, so many humans believe that their spirit, their true God, is something they can see. And thus, they're now just getting colonized because they're selling their soul to all the concepts that have been stolen from indigenous peoples. So now it's easy to use indigenous people's own systems against them because then it's just a whole vibration thing. And that's just like almost invading planets 101. If you're going to take over a whole race, you don't want to institute your own system. You want to use the systems that they've built against them because you know it's already in vibrational resonance with their minds and their spirits, their intentions, everything. So then it's easy to come in with your own intention, aka your own fiery new world order, to then steal everything that Egyptians did to not help the planet ascend, but enslave the planet now. So here we are. I'm doing my best with this English language. I appreciate you for hibernating and bearing with me. So here in episode 66, we've got a collaboration between Seshat and I. Again, how much of this is real? This is why life is a lie and so deep. Only I, as the author of the actual text that they're claiming to be releasing for us to read, can actually let us know what's true and what's not. Because they are obviously, as I've been saying, only weaponizing the truth in order to point you towards a lie, aka source consciousness. So all of that is that's where all this stuff with Seshat, like they very well, that's all just made up. Most of the stuff with Thoth is made up. And it's easy for them to create stories like they're transmitting me, like they're in some divine union communication with me, when really they just stole things that I gave to indigenous peoples, things that I gave to my soul group, things that we built and then left behind as we kept ascending through dimensions. And they just take the physical remnants and they have their idea of the small traces of our civilization we've left behind, because none of these things are us. We're constantly leveling up, creating our own worlds. They can't create their own worlds, so they need to colonize our world and then trap people who want to come create in our world. So it's important that we, as the spirits who create this world, help maintain it. It's not very responsible to just create things and just let them go, not really maintain them, not actually pay attention to them, not really nurture them, because then it's easy for other entities to manipulate your own creation to hurt others. And then because you're not actually taking responsibility for that, you are responsible, right? So you're becoming more responsible the less you take responsibility for that. And the more you take responsibility for that, the less responsible you are. This is the polarity, the paradox of just infinity. You feel me? Because if you're not in control of what people do with your creations, but you are in control of your perception and your awareness of what people do with your creations. And if you don't care, if you have some like ego thing that's like blinding you, and this light is more distracting than the way that all these other lights are being affected by your creations, then that gets negative. That's the toxically masculine individual who is clearly experiencing, creating separation because they're so lost in their desire to create, they don't realize that they're actually not benefiting the greater good or whatever, based on how they're not actually being feminine and nurturing their creations. So that's the idea of like just someone going around creating weapons of mass destruction, but never using them to kill people. And they're like, well, I'm not responsible for that. And it's like, maybe not the first time, maybe not even the second time. But this is the point of time and leveling up and awareness. If you are seeing that people constantly use your weapons of mass destruction to destroy, then maybe you have to change the way you express yourself or create those weapons and introduce them to that space. Or at the very least, stay communicating and like clear with what the purpose of that is. But there's the point of communication being everything. Air is balance, the externalization of spirit. Life is a lie. So life is lies. And that's where all lies, all light must vibrate with some resonance of truth. So all this stuff is vibrating with some resonance of truth. The truth could very well just be that they're using our names, though, of my soul group, of me, Seshat, and whoever else may be involved, just so that they can trap people's minds who are interested in these topics and interested in the true history of Earth, instead of this, we've been around for 2021 years after Jesus Christ was killed by the government because God wanted to love and save us all, and this was the only way. All the time before that, everyone who wants to know before that, yeah, the system that clearly pushed this agenda is only going to release the time before that and text from time before that in a way that still supports their light white supremacist thing of trapping your awareness. So, and also, as we have already said, perception being projection, their awareness is already so limited. When they're colonizing the things that we've created, what we create is never going to be a full expression of us. It can't be, of course, we're too infinite. So then that's where their awareness, it's like multiple tiers of lostness in terms of not actually getting the full message. This is why it is important that we communicate, because none of us can ever truly see each other's imaginations, and thus will never actually be able to see the universe from each other's perspectives. Now, as we are saying, as we know, these light white supremacists desire to colonize your perspective and say it's all one perspective, and that you need to learn way more of their perspective and go to school and get indoctrinated so that you can hammer in how much your perspective is actually theirs. And then it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. Light. So yeah, there's a point. Life, lie, light, it's all the same thing. It's all a creation. It's all separation from the fact that we're all nothing. And like paradoxically then like individual and connected in that nothingness. So that's where it gets elemental. And hey, the fact that these tablets don't have me talking like this, bro, they kept all that. They kept all of that and way more so that they can weaponize it against you. And this is what they release, is all this fluff. It's just, as we keep seeing, the fluff must be hammered in with a little bit of truth that then I can springboard off of for like 20 minutes clearly. And then I gotta maybe take a hit to come back down and be like, let's address the topic at hand, I guess. Let's not make this a whole spiritual thing. This is tablet talks. There are tablets to address. Chapter 3. Curses, sunlight, and increasing your discernment. From Tablet 3, verse 3. In the original translation from the Atlantean language, Thoth said, "Keep thou not silent when evil is spoken, for truth, like the sunlight, shines above all." Thoth's commentary in modern English. Evil words, like curses spewing forth from the lips of the unwise. Evil words are like curses. See, this is like empty words. You feel me? Like, see how it's already relying on you being lost in like your idea of what evil is, and just like I would truly be defining things more. I'd be laying things out better. You just say evil words are like curses spewing forth from the lips of the unwise. Like, okay, like, true, but in English, that's not it. You're talking about evil. Yeah, evil words, like that's a judgment. Like what's evil to you might not be evil to someone else. So then it's also like, it's unwise to then be saying that those words are evil. Because then we'd start to really challenge, like, what words are evil? Words that put people down? Words that hurt people? Like, is that a desire to just be uplifted all the time? I love my demons. Like, everyone is important. All aspects of all of us are essential for the universe growing. It's just about us communicating and correlating and connecting these in a harmonious fashion that is best for us as individuals. But like, people can totally just do what they want in the universe as long as it's about consent and not actually breaching the awareness of how anyone else is creating life. That's what evil would be. The fact that it's just saying evil words shows that, again, it's relying on you being lost in English and what your idea of evil is. You know how to recognize when one is speaking curse-like words of evil as you quietly speak your truth. Light shall prevail. Yeah, this is lost, dude. This is so funny. I'm not talking like this, and we know this at this point, but it's like at this point it's a translation thing. When they say light, nah, they're lost, dude. Light shall prevail. This is a chance for others listening to hear the truth. See, the truth is darkness. That's where I would say the truth is darkness. I just said light is a lie. I actually just said light is a lie. So that's why I said that. That's why I kind of went in there. For light shall prevail, lies shall prevail. This is how white supremacists think. All right, they just can't help it. Death is truth. Darkness is truth. All light comes out of darkness. And darkness is simultaneously the accumulation of all lights and no light. Yet not nothingness, but no light. So basically, like, light is then just equated to thought. Darkness is feeling. Light is man. Darkness is woman. So they are also then saying, like, light shall prevail. Man shall prevail. Thoughts shall prevail. Bro, it doesn't make sense. Like, but it's like, I get it, because it shows their desire for this specific thought, this specific New World Order, Judeo-Christian type system, enslavement, indoctrination thought to prevail. And they're so lost in that they ignore the woman. They hate the woman. They hate their own feelings. They're so focused on this thought that they hate themselves. And that's why they're focused on it, because it's thought. They feel better united with this thought than they feel better alone. Hence, worshiping something, giving your sins to something, not taking responsibility for your actions type. Truth resonates. See, resonates is darkness. So when you're in the dark, you're in a dark room. I said this before. We'll say it again. You're in a dark room. You can't see anyone. You can only feel them, though. So then that's where racism, we had to really think, like, would it exist? Would you be able to judge people by the color of their skin if you can't even see them? Like, everyone would just be, what, touching each other, smelling the same? Like, you could start to judge each other in different ways, but no, like, the point is that our eyes, our sight, is what really separates us from the fact that we're all human, that we all have beating hearts, that we're all in bodies, that we can all create life together. Literally, the fact that we can create children together means that we are all that same vibration. We are all in resonance that hard. And that truth is darkness. That's dark. That's the resonance, that's the darkness that white supremacists created this language to ignore, to erase indigenous peoples. Because they hate emotion. They hate the feminine that much. They hate the fact that all humans are connected. So they want to lead us to living like robots and then actually having robot body parts. And then it's like Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever. Lies and evil judgments bring a person's spirit down. Here's a simple measure of truth. Do the words spoken lift you up, or do the words spoken bring you down? Lostness. You shouldn't desire to just be brought up. People just bringing you up with words, that's worship. That's worship. That's actually worship. Okay? Like, that's actually what worship is. Like, it shows this white supremacist desire to be worshipped. Like, the truth. We all know the truth are words that make you feel good. What? Yo. Sad. Seshat contributes her wisdom. You have a chance to right the wrongs spoken by those who would lead lies or harsh judgments. You can be the one to come to the defense of a victim of untruth. When a gossip monger is confronted by a light worker of truth, whoa, what is this, dude? Is this really Seshat? Yo, I mean, I guess she might, she's, gossip is a thing. This is what, when we're talking about communication, no spirit likes other spirits talking negatively about them. Like, this is like then what this is getting at with like truth and sort of hammering in, making it relatable to the desires of the reader. Everyone can relate with that, of like having people say something that is not true, but then other people are building this idea of that around them, and that doesn't feel good because it's like, people aren't understanding me. And the spirit desires to be understood. You would not have created a body in this realm and been communicating if you did not desire to be understood. So when that isn't happening and people are spreading lies and then thus gossip, that's not fun, of course. Kids in high school kill themselves because of these things, because they created a body so they could communicate with others and be understood. But when others don't understand them and their whole environment is set up against them and the whole society is whack, then they would rather leave. They'd rather peace out and go somewhere else so that they can go be understood somewhere else. Hopefully, go internal and go be understood. Because for a lot of the kids who do kill themselves, it's school that's the issue. So it is like actually population control created by the white supremacist European government. Because they have set up things in a way for children and then teenagers and then adults, humans in general, to fight themselves so deeply. Like, that's how they control everybody. So this is, that's just very real gossip and people spreading lies and the negative effects on somebody that comes from talking negatively about them. This is why it's so important to not talk negatively about others. Like, just don't do it, really. Um, and it's like, there's, of course, a whole balance in there, because the truth is negative. Like, truth and darkness are negative, as in it's what unifies us, but it's not what people want to see. And this is where you're either articulating someone else's truth or you're articulating your truth. And that's where it's a whole balance thing of, again, communication and all these people with their truths, and then people communicating all their truths together. But it's like, who has the authority? What truth has the authority over what? And then what do people believe? And then it's like, are people believing the truth? Maybe not. And are they okay with not believing the truth? Perhaps. And then that's where we get into ego and desires. So this is just how we create life. You see the infinite details in life. Oh, man. So yeah, that's gossip. But like, when a gossip monger is confronted by a light warrior of truth, they will quickly back down. That's weird. Like, that doesn't really make sense. Like, what a light warrior of truth. Like, that's someone that uses thoughts to cut through things. So, I mean, yeah, you can use the truth, like your own thought, which is light. Then you're making your darkness seen, because the darkness is the truth. And then you focus in on that truth and make it like a certain spectrum of light. And now you're using this certain spectrum of light to cut through the lies that were there before. This is me making it twerk. Pop, pop. For a gossip monger only gains power when they are heard and agreed with. Right. Evil stirs up more evil, and yet let us have mercy on the one spewing the gossip. It is only due to their lack of self-confidence that they turn to sensational gossip to attract attention. Generally true. Many of those who speak evil could be plagued by chaos entities. Those beings always seek to stir up more turmoil to feed upon. You can speak your truth without being drawn into a heated dispute by using your God-given gift of discernment. Okay. From Rebecca, my definition of gossip. Discernment is everything, for sure. Practice discernment in everything that you do. That's why I'm symmetry, the king of balance, Tehuti, baby. From there, you have discernment, because that's the point. Discernment is discern. We're just talking like logically, like when you know that everything is balanced and you have it all whole as air. To discern is to predict, to project, to use your left brain logic to see and navigate that balance and know where you're going to go based on patterns from the past and how you're acting now. So based on how you're acting now and your patterns from the past, knowing how something's going to turn out so you can change the outcome. Because the whole point of discernment is to change an outcome that you may possibly be creating for yourself. So you have a trajectory of action, and if you continue this action, then you may hit this possible outcome. And the point of practicing discernment is to, throughout that whole journey of chasing your dreams, so to speak, whatever intention you want to set on or whatever you're trying to do, discernment helps you cut up and just navigate all the infinite possibilities that will lead you to your goal as fast as possible. So when you're a body and your goal is just living in general so that you can ride the vibe that your spirit has set out for yourself, right? So you're like, your body doesn't know what it's going to do in life, but it knows that the spirit made it to be here. So it's about to ride out this vibe. So the main intention is to live at the very least. Then that's where practicing discernment in who you hang out with, or practicing discernment in where you go, practicing discernment in everything you do is very much attached to living and keeping yourself safe. So preserving your best interests, preserving your imagination, and thus your ability to communicate your imagination by preserving your body, your imagination here. preserving your body, preserving your imagination, all that. Preserving yourself, keeping your intentions in check. You can speak your truth without being drawn into a heated dispute. Yeah, cool. From Rebecca, my definition of gossip. Cool. There's a difference between gossiping about him and her or discussing a person's situation. Right. Discuss discernment. Like, we're just talking about dissection here. So this is, all about logically cutting up the air, the balance to learn and navigate, to better get to that logical intention that only you have in your imagination. Like, no one else can discern for you but you, because no one else knows what your full intentions or imagination are. They can only see life from their perspective. So always practice discernment. For example, a mother may discuss her child's behavior with a trusted friend, hoping to gain some insight as to how to better parent. This is certainly not gossip. It is a sincere inquiry. Your heart will know when you have pure intent, or when you are sneaking in a few barbs. Now that's true. That's true. Your heart definitely knows when you have pure intent, or if you are sneaking in a few barbs. That was well said. It is sometimes human nature to get satisfaction from putting someone else down. Right. This is likely due to our need to feel a bit superior. Forgive yourself for that and pay more attention to your heart. Or, follow the advice of the great philosopher Socrates. 1. Is what you want to say the absolute truth? Are you sure? 2. Is what you want to say good or kind? 3. Is what you want to say useful or necessary? Socrates said, if what you want to say is neither true, good, kind, useful, nor necessary, there is no need to say anything at all. That's fair. How to increase your gift of discernment from Thoth and Seshat. So this is supposedly from us. Repeat the Atlantean word huertal. Pronounce huertal, huertal, huertal. Bro. Telling people to say things, like giving them the thing to say. Yeah, we skip that. We skip that. That they're capping with all that. All right? Capping. Again, they're just taking our things and then making it their intention. So this is why it's basically a lie, because it's just weaponized truth. Again. It's like, at this point, I want to be able to just like holographically like paint out what I mean by that. I feel like you get it though, but like for our edification, to get really into the details, I would like to. Your intuition knows what's right for you. A note about psychopaths. All right, we're here. A psychopath can have the uncanny ability to tap into a target's subconscious desires. When the target hears their very thoughts and desires spoken by the psychopath, they easily shut off their own intuition, assuming that it has to be wrong. This is exactly how many psychopaths lure their intended targets into trusting them. If you are dealing with a suspected psychopath, trust your gut instinct and not the honeyed words they speak. Chapter 4, Law of Punishment and Freedom. From Tablet 3, verse 4. In the original translation from the Atlantean language, Thoth said, He who ever steppeth the law shall be punished, for only through law comes the freedom of men. All right. And so they're going to get you lost in the law of thinking that it's like some legal Holy Father stuff, when the law is just the natural law of how spirits express themselves. Like, that's basically it. And that truly just comes down to consent. So that's why the law, we can see it here in US, just normal life society. The law is all about maintaining the consent, protecting the consent of everyone involved, so that spirits don't let their desires over express and thus hurt another spirit or impinge upon their ability to express themselves. Like, that's the point of the law. The law is to maintain order in that way. But that's where order is the more negative side. Like, the point, like, consent is the positive thing. Everyone understands that consent is it. Like, if you take someone's consent away, then there should be a law to punish you. That's how law gets created in most societies, just generally by spirits. Spirits create law and order to protect the consent of themselves and each other, so that they can continue to communicate in a free way. So this is where they have their New World Order police state law, which is about enslaving indigenous peoples and imprisoning them in privatized prisons to make them build a world and fuel a whole system that is doing whatever. All right, we won't get into that. It's just, yes, about that law. Like, that's why they're obsessed with the law in this way. But when I'm saying this, we're just talking about the natural law, the natural way that spirits express themselves, and how that manifests in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thoth's commentary in modern English. The natural laws of the universe are in place for the safety and evolution of mankind, animals, plants, the entire solar system. Right. That's what I'm saying. So we all give our consent to communicate. And that's that. That's where all problems arise. You wouldn't have a problem with someone you didn't communicate with yet. And that's just by, like, you creating a world with another spirit. Even if you haven't met them, the fact that you're both creating a world together means that you both gave your consent to communicate in that space. So this is the idea of then chi permeating through all things. And it's not about that being a god or anything. That's not a whole entity. That is us igniting our imaginations into the water that we've created to connect, so we can communicate our imaginations. That's what chi is. That's what air is. That is why it's the externalization of spirit. It is the spirit's imagination, what it looks like after it decides to connect with either itself or another spirit. And then spirits connect with others based on how they connect with themselves. And this is why we all learn from each other. And no one's better than anyone else. We're all space. We're all nothing. And we're all interacting. Here are 12 laws that always apply. 1. The law of divine oneness. We are all one and interconnected. See, that's lost. 12 laws that always apply. We are all one and interconnected. Whack. Like, that's so silly. That's so silly. We are all one. But everything that I just said, though, it's true, though. Like with chi, we are all one because we are all creating one body to express these tinier bodies inside of. So that's where one is. It's just white supremacy wants to trap you in the body. So they need to convince you that it is everything and thus one. And that you're not one, so you don't go off and create your own body. 2. The law of vibration. All particles of all substances are in constant movement. That's a fact. So, 3. Hence why light vibrates at a certain darkness of the space creating it. 3. The law of correspondence. Patterns constantly repeat themselves throughout the universe on both large and small scales. Facts. Mathematics. Circles. Sacred geometry. Lit. 4. The law of attraction. Like always attracts like. Well, that's a lie. That's not how magnetics work. So what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you're messing up so hard trying to claim that this is me just getting my own stuff wrong. I would not ever say that the law how is like attracts like. That's a desire. That's literally a desire. That just shows their desire. Like, we want attraction to work this way. This is the point of alchemy, all right? Alchemical Callaway, baby. In Kemet, all right? In the dark land where we're black, the blackness in the dark land of chemistry is all about using emotion, all about using the woman, all about using our own woman, our own feelings, our own infinite blackness, our own infinite deep waters to create change in front of us. So, and then that's how elementally, that's water turning into air based on how we ignite our water with our fire. And then that's where I guess movies and stuff call that superpowers today and everything. But the point is that it's all just pure freedom of expression for a spirit. So yeah, no, like always attracts like. No. Positive attracts negative. It's magnetic. It's polarity. It's up to you with your own ego to use yourself, to use your thoughts and feelings to alchemize reality and make it work for you and make it positive. And that's how you like actually start to see real change. It's a desire to think like, okay, what you like always attracts like. No, that's not magnetics. So 5. The law of inspired action. Actively pursue your goals when inspiration strikes you. True inspiration is always followed by a surge of energy. Okay. 6. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Everything is constantly changing. Some changes are not noticed as they are occurring at cellular or atomic levels. They are changing nonetheless. Right, the vibration principle. The only constant is change. The ego wants things to stay the same, though. This is why white supremacy is obsessed with holding one spot and making you think that everything is one, which is just not sustainable. So, 7. The law of cause and effect. All actions have a corresponding reaction. 8. The law of compensation. You will receive back what you give out in kind. You reap what you sow. Okay? That's like more accurate than the law of attraction, but also still not put well. The law of relativity. 9. Nothing is either good or bad until it is compared to something else. This is a fact. You may consider yourself poor until you compare yourself to a homeless person. 10. The law of polarity. Everything has an opposite. Scarcity helps you to appreciate abundance. Dark helps you to appreciate light, etc. 11. The law of rhythm. All things occur in cycles. Nothing is permanent. Water cycles, baby. 12. The law of gender. There are two major types of energy, yin yang, male female. You can activate the law of gender more fully by using your imagination. I'm so glad I'm doing these tablet talks. I'm so glad these get long so I can actually fully explain the truth better. Just like explain the darkness better. Explain the feelings that connect all spirits and thus wisdom better. Because that's where all life is getting created from. And then I see it from my individual space, and that's me as Thoth, Tehuti, Chase, Chigatet, Hermes Trismegistus, Symmetry, Irisel. All those being made from Irisel. Irisel being the higher self, but still no word, no names for the spirit, because the spirit is truly detached. It's truly no thing. But it is constantly creating things. And I do, like to hit that paradox line of like, hey, I don't have a name. I'm not this name. But I will create a name so that my creations can communicate with me in a way that is more personable. For sure. This is just like explained so badly is all. So that's why I'm just so happy to be doing this. Like the way that they are sharing all this, it's just not actually helpful. It's not practical. And I'm saying obviously, but it's only obvious when we're going through here and I'm in this energy making this possible. So other than that, so many people read this and they're just like, yes, okay, awesome. And then it gets like great reviews or whatever. And then it changes people's lives. And it's just, it is a testament to how powerful the information is and how much people desire it and how much they benefit from getting just that. But it's like not it. It's just not it. And explain is a whack word. I'm actually looking for a better word than explain. Share. But like explain, like dissect, like it's just I'm so detailed. This is the point. Like the life for me is truly in the details. All of life is in the details. Like that's where like all those details and then those things coming together to make bigger and bigger and bigger structures, and then like all of that, like that's me, bro. Like I love that. That's how I build my Spider-Man costumes. Like that's just how I learned about myself as an artist in general. Like I just can't help it. It's like who I really am. So for me to be supposedly through all these tablet talks, like we see, explaining things in such lackluster ways, like Danielle's tablet was like the most detailed explanation. But then as we saw with that was the worst because it was just flowery actual nothingness and just straight up lies on top of that. So I was just only heated the whole time. This and everything else is just so simple. I can't really imagine knowing what I know that it's really helpful. And that's why they present it that way. Because they're looking at what I wrote and they're like, okay, how do we present this to the public in the way that is the least helpful as possible while making them feel like they got it? Because that's a good lie. Like, that's the point. How do we give people just enough information that makes them feel like they got what they came for. And now they're satisfied. And then we can just keep doing our stuff. Yo, demons, dude. To activate masculine energy, imagine things going away from you. Okay. To activate feminine energy, imagine things coming toward you. This makes sense. You can do this. Imagine bad things going away, masculine. Imagine good things coming, feminine. Thoth continues. When you work in harmony with these laws, your life and the life of the planet is always balanced. When you ignore these laws, you create your own disharmony, dis-ease. Weaponized truth, it is true, but I mean, hey, look, again, they're releasing just enough so that you feel like you got what you came for. Like, it can't just be straight up lies. So, like, I'm just so glad I'm doing these because this is not nearly detailed enough for me, my guy. No, sir. This is rough. And, I mean, they're just saying stuff wrong, so. Everything is a consequence of either keeping the natural laws or going against these laws. This is facts. So, that's what I just said, but in the way that I said it, okay? So, listen to Chase. All right, listen to Chase. Do not listen to anyone claiming to be speaking for Chase or his past lives of Hermes or Thoth or Tehuti or Chikatet or any other creations from the spirit associated with Irisel. Seshat contributes her wisdom. Many people live in fear that there is an angry God out there who is waiting to punish them. There is no deity of light who would ever wish to bring harm upon any person, place, animal, plant, sea, or any being ever. And not entity of light. Clearly, these light beings are all about that. Light is just desire. So, I mean, that's a lie. That's actually a lie. Whatever. As you learn to embrace the natural laws, you more easily embrace your own divinity. Let us dwell together in harmony. And Seshat's not finna be lying like that. So they're clearly lying, claiming that this is her. Even the divine beings of light must abide by the natural laws. These laws are not meant to subjugate humans, but to lift them up in the glory of abundant living. Interesting. Chapter 5. Cause no fear. From Tablet 3, verse 5. In the original translation from the Atlantean language, Thoth said, Cause thou not fear, for fear is a bondage, a fetter that binds the darkness to men. Okay, so darkness is emotion, but darkness, which is negative in this case, is emotional reactivity. So darkness is reacting to the environment because you're not your own thought. You are not your own environment, so there's nothing to react to. So the desire of white supremacy is to take over the lands of Africa and North, South, Central America, Australia, just the whole globe, take over the galaxy and make the whole universe an environment that they can control, because that's where then they won't have to be reacting to things outside of their control. That's what they call darkness. So that's what darkness is to white people. Things that they can't control, aka indigenous people. So that's why they did their best then to erase indigenous peoples and now call them black through slavery and all these lies and stuff, and making them speak a different language and get hooked on the religion that is responsible for imprisoning them. All that. History things. Fear is the opposite of freedom, right? So freedom is the spirit being able to do anything. Fear is the spirit giving up its ability to do anything. And that is the opposite of what feels good. So you being able to then do anything, your ego dancing its flame, feels good. Whereas fear is the opposite. Fear does not feel good because it takes out your flame. And like now it erased your desire. So you as a spirit desire to express yourself. And anything that you fear is something that can inhibit your ability to express yourself then. So this is white people. Again, it's showing that they have this fear of blackness inhibiting their ability to express themselves. And then that's where, what are you trying to express? A thought. Okay, absolutely. So the thing that would inhibit that thought is your emotions about that thought. That's your blackness. So this is where we're all our own demons. We all have our own desires, our own higher thoughts, but then we have our demons, our lower thoughts of whether we should really do that. And that's generally how it's going to impact the collective and impact our individual in the collective. So all of our desires are individual, our man. And what stops us from expressing these desires is our woman, our feminine, that bitchy, naggy part of you that's like, don't say that to them because then they'll know this and this and that. And she's the one who's keeping you safe. Because if you're a man, if you lived in your full ego desire, you would possibly just get taken out of the simulation. So this is why the spirit is balanced. And both water and fire are important. Fear and freedom are important if you're in a body. Because it's not the only way you could have true, like, ultimate, like, freedom in a body is to know that you're the spirit. That's a fact. So you have to know you're the spirit. If you know you're the spirit operating this body, but I mean, honestly, you're free. You are free. There's no fear. Like the spirit isn't fearful. Like the spirit needs to generate fear and put fear into its desires to actually create desires. Because if you don't have desires, or if you don't have fear, you don't have freedom in terms of expressing it. You feel, as in, if you don't have fear, if you don't have something that you don't want to do, then you don't really know what you do want to do. So that's where you have to go through things that are whack and things that don't resonate with you so that you can fully appreciate things that do resonate with you. And that's the point of the spirit creating those circumstances for you. So now you're going through all these like two things, the polarity of learning on this spectrum of like, what do I like and what do I not like? And then this is just over lifetimes as we create art. What do we like? What do we not like? And then we become fuller expressions of our nothingness. And that's how our spirit expands in space and gets bigger. And then we all expand and level up together. So fear is just the negative feminine emotion that is there to protect your ego and keep longevity going. Because if your ego truly lives in freedom, it will burn through the environment. Especially if your ego, as white supremacists are, is only destructive to the environment, and their emotions, caring about the collective, are what hold them back. For example, slavery. Oh, maybe we shouldn't go out of our way to build world economies on raping and murdering all these indigenous peoples that we're going to erase the cultures of. Darkness is whack. I hate women. All those feelings get in the way of my thought, my desire of wanting to do that so I can make money, because money resembles how I'm going to have freedom through the government that lets me make money. And yeah, so here we are. That's how that works. This is how life is created. The spirit is free. If you know you're a spirit expressing yourself in the body, oh yeah, you're good. Freedom. This is why they're obsessed with making you believe that the spirit is something you can see, or just something at all. Because that's how they can then use fear against you and limit it. The spirit fears limitation because it's just not it. So then the spirit will be free. Thoth's commentary in modern English. And again, when I say the spirit, this is not the spirit is not fearful. The spirit creates a soul. So that's the point. The soul is the middle ground between the body. So the soul is freedom and fear together that then expresses itself as the body. The spirit's nothing. It's, I guess at that point, not even freedom. But really, it like that's the highest frequency is freedom. until you just get to nothing, which is true detachment, which is the ultimate free thing. It's just no imagination, like not even like thinking of anything or feeling anything, not thinking or feeling anything. Do not be the cause of striking fear into the hearts of man nor beast. Fear causes loss of liberty and is the opposite of freedom, right? Fear keeps all in the space of darkness, right? Emotional reactivity. In darkness, one cannot thrive. In emotional reactivity, you cannot create life, create your own life. This is a fact. Seshat contributes her wisdom. There are those who seek to rule by instilling fear in the hearts and minds of others. This is not of the light and will no longer be tolerated. Whoa, Seshat, that's wild. That's so funny. They put that in all this bold. Like she's really being an Amazonian warrior woman of light. This is not of the light and will no longer be tolerated. Dragon fire. Bah. There are those who seek to rule by... That's so funny that they're trying to gas people up reading this. Like, yeah, definitely. They're the ones manipulating you, bro. Like, this is so funny. Demons go hard. Demons really do go hard. Like, the way that they can just lie and lie and lie and do it all from the emotion of, I desire to get to this outcome, so I will be able to feel nothing and then thus weaponize how I know others want to feel to get this outcome. Mwah. Mwah. True. Mwah. True evil. If there's anything that's evil, that's evil. All right? Thoth just defined evil right here. Because that's I don't need to go into that more. There are those who seek to control by fear tactics, are insecure in their own power. Right. And people who are evil use light to take the consent of others. So here I am going into it more. Perfect. That's why that's whack. That's the point. That's how North and South and Central America have been taken over, was Europeans using light to instill fear in free people so that they could limit their freedom and then just keep limiting their freedom. And that's how the natives were taken over, through 375 plus treaties made with the U.S. government, just the U.S. government. However, it is up to each individual to proclaim their own sovereignty. Each one of us carries the light of divinity within. That light can no longer be overcome by the spirit of fear or by those seeking to control. Fear is the opposite of love. Seek love and mercy, and long shall be the days of your life. Happy shall your heart be. True wealth begins and ends with the capacity to love. So, all right, seek love and mercy. What does that mean? To seek love and mercy, long shall be the days of your life. That's a weird desire. Each one of us carries a light of divinity within. That light can no longer be overcome by the spirit of fear. Yeah, like, this is such a weird, lost thing. This is so silly. They're capping. We're ending it here because they're capping so hard. That, like, yeah, they're just, like, turning it into a fantasy novel, right? Like, they're the ones doing this evil stuff on Earth. And then they are basically laughing behind closed doors, releasing this for people who want to get actually spiritual and become actually free and gain true wisdom to read and then thus believe. Like, okay, now, fear will no longer be tolerated. And I just have to remember that I'm part of divinity. And then it's just leading to source stuff. So, boo. We're out of here. Peace out. I'm your boy Tehuti. Love you. Mwah.